Hi again, it's me, Cinnamon. I'm a 25-year-old working a corporate job who loves all things personal finance, especially budgeting, and you wouldn't be able to tell because I have not been filming my budgeting videos, but I'll get all into that with some life updates and some updates on my budget, my net worth, my goals right now. So, I guess to start with why I haven't been budgeting, or at least budgeting on YouTube, and even with not being on YouTube, I don't spend that much time on YNAB like I used to. I am really in a space in my life where my primary focus is making more money. And I'm not talking like getting a new job, even though I kind of have three different levels of what I think about when I think about making more money. So, first, I think about making a little bit more money, which is me getting a new job within my same industry, which is big tech, maybe, top startups, software engineering, then making a lot more money, but still within my universe of skills is switching industries from tech to finance, where I'd be working in a hedge fund. And then my last level for making more money, and this is making significantly more money, is starting my own business. And that is where I've been spending a lot of my time and energy. And it's hard sometimes to come back into YNAB where I'm like really focused on like small decisions and even reflecting on how I've been spending my money, because I don't really care right now how I've been spending my money. I mean, I also really haven't been spending that much money, um, except for in July due to some life updates that I'll get into. But yeah, it just feels weird sometimes going back into YNAB and having to like care about being overspent on one line item when I just know I need to like move things around to make the numbers work, and I'm not really thinking about the long term with my budget. I'm just like making sure I'm hitting my investing and other goals, and I'm not having to dip into those goals, and I haven't had to do that. Although I was very close in July because of some life updates. So, when I last filmed a YouTube video, I was updating you on how I was kind of at a crossroads of life options because my boyfriend was transferring schools and he still hadn't gotten a decision from his top choice school, which he actually didn't end up getting into. Um, but at the time, he didn't have a decision, and it meant that I didn't know like whether I would have to move and where I'd be moving, and I just was planning around those options. And at the time, I also really wanted to quit my job because I was really focused on building the business. Um, but I was still early in that, and I didn't really know what it would take for me to build a business. Now I'm completely like anti quitting my job to build my business because it's given me such financial stability, and my current job is very easy for me to do on autopilot, where if I switch jobs into either another software engineering role or into finance, I would have to put in a lot of cognitive energy, if not to get familiar with the domain in which I'm working, at least to get re-familiar with the social atmosphere in which I'm working. So now I'm like not in the mood to quit my job at all, which influenced some of the decisions I made regarding my boyfriend and his, life situation that he was figuring out. So I am talking really fast and interrupting myself a bit. But yes, at the time, my boyfriend was planning on transferring schools, and then a week or two after I filmed this video, he did a trade show, I guess, an expo. I don't know what it's called in their industry, but he did an expo with his family for his family business, and that was like one of his first times really being involved in the work of his family business. And he realized he wanted to work on it more and he didn't want to continue his education. So he's decided that he's not going back to school, and because of what his family does for work, they work in manufacturing and they need to live ideally near one of their warehouses and things like that. And all of these warehouses are in not the middle of nowhere. They're like close to smaller cities, but yeah, just not anywhere I want to be located. He moved, and I figured like I don't want to quit my job. I also don't really want to live in the middle of nowhere. So I stayed put. And that is why I ended up spending a lot of money in July, because my routine has like completely changed. I'm having to figure out getting from place to place by myself more again. I should have completely gotten my driver's license before he moved, and that was the plan. But I've just been so heads down working on the business, and it's not even like I've gotten so far on the business. It's just like I've had to do so much work to understanding what it takes to be a business owner. So, yeah, when I look back, it's just like all of my work hasn't necessarily just been like on the product I'm building. I've had to grow so much, and I was just very focused on all of those things. Another thing that's changed since he's moved back and we're doing long distance is food. Like, I didn't have groceries at my house. I again was super heads down. I didn't like set up my HelloFresh in time, and then when I did set it up, I had to wait a week for the groceries to come in. And yeah, so things like that were happening. So that led to me spending a lot in July. That was our last month together, so we spent a lot of money just doing things. I wanted to treat him to dinner. So all of those things led to a really high spend in July. But now I have cleaned up my budget, and I just want to take some time to get back into this, because I don't know. I don't really know why I want to get back into my budget, but I'm excited to look at it again, and I don't know when I'm going to look at it next. I did do my August budget off camera because I didn't know when I'd get to film. I had to get a new laptop, which I finally set up. My old laptop was a nightmare. And what else? Yeah, it's just like not interesting right now, but I'm hoping that as I figure out my life, my budget can become more interesting. So, because I haven't budgeted in a while, I thought it would be fun to go to the Reflect tab and see what my spending has been. Okay, let's actually go to August. Or not August. Let's go to July and see just how much I spent in July. Oh, I'm just like, how does it say I spent $71,000 in July? I was like, I know I spent a lot of money, but I didn't realize how much. And now, looking back, I'm realizing that in July, I did get one of my bigger stock payouts from work. So it was about $50,000. I invested everything after taxes. So you can see I invested $32,000. $14,000 went to federal tax, $6,000 to state tax. And that wouldn't just be from the stock payout. This would also be from my 3 other paychecks in July. Yeah, so July was also a 3 paycheck month. So that is why the spending number is really high, because I account for my taxes and investments in my spending. I'm not super interested in seeing that right now, so I'm going to take those categories out. And now see my spending. Okay. I thought it was a lot worse than it was. $4,464. But I don't know. It's a little bit bad. Okay, so my rent was $1,650. And if you've been watching my budget videos, this is actually down because I used to have a parking spot, and it's down $50 because I used to have a parking spot and I gave up my parking spot to my new roommate, and I thought it would save me like $200 because I don't know, I just feel like the parking spot's really valuable, and I should have asked how much it would save me to give up the parking spot because it only saved me $50, which is nice, but I don't know. I feel like I would have preferred to keep the parking spot if I knew it was just $50. Because I do see myself getting a car in the next year, especially because now I'm more committed to like living in the Bay Area long term. Yeah, I don't know. Some things for a family vacation, that's not going to count. Eating out, $693. And this is not as bad as I thought it would be, but I would add $200 to this because my boyfriend gave me some Uber Eats gift cards or Uber gift cards, and I spent some of them on Ubers, but I also spent some of them on Uber Eats. So maybe just add $100 here. So it is bad. It's like $800, but I definitely remember it being worse. What is this? Commuting, normal, groceries, $200. Yeah. That's why I'm like, I feel like I spent more on food because I did get the HelloFresh and a Cook Unity box. So that is like the $200 here. What else? Oh yeah, some grocery stores that I went to here and there. So I feel like overall, this is already like over $1,000 on food last month. And some of that we were in Vegas, so some of my food spending is considered in this Vegas trip category. Some of it is considered in Let Me Hold a Dollar when I bought my boyfriend like a really nice dinner, health insurance, utilities. Oh yeah, I bought a bodysuit for the vacation I'm going on, and everything else. Cool. Like, is there anything interesting here? No. So it's not terrible, but it's not my favorite. And yeah, I don't know what to say. Okay, and now I want to look at the year so far. So let's look at year to date. I hate that it's counting August a little bit because on one end, it's like August just started, right? So when we're looking at, I'll just drop August so the numbers are cleaner when I'm like thinking of my averages and stuff. Okay, so year to date, my like personal spending amount, well, actually not all of this is personal spending. Let's drop community trust. Okay, great. Year to date, my personal spending has been $25,000, which I'll have to go back to my goals and refamiliarize myself with them, but I think this is under what I planned for the year and where I would be. I think I planned $60,000 for the year, so halfway through I should be around $30,000, and the fact that I'm $5,000 under is good. Most of that is my core spending, most of which is my rent, eating out, so this is about over $500 a month. Not great, honestly, but I feel okay enough about it because, again, I've just been really heads down with my work and the startup I'm building, so I'm trying to get into a better place with eating out, not in terms of the amount, but in terms of the routine. So I've started Cook Unity because I really hate Uber Eats and DoorDash. It's always just like a stressful part of my day. And so I'm expecting to see higher grocery spending because that's what I could consider Cook Unity. But yeah, health insurance. I did not expect that to be my next highest category of that, but that makes sense. Household utilities and my health insurance, $700 so far in the year is just like not bad at all. So that is just an amazing part of working. Groceries, lightweight. Like, I do not go to grocery store. Transportation, so low for the whole year, $470. And this is not going to hold up because my ride has moved. Yeah, and just random other things here in my core spending. Let's go back. My specific sinking funds. I went on 2 trips so far this year. 1 trip to Vegas with my boyfriend, and then my birthday trip where we went to see a concert, and that was fun. Did we see a concert in Vegas? We also went to see a concert in Vegas. Yeah, that was not where we were supposed to see that concert. I think I was planning for a Pierce the Veil concert, and I was going to see it in California, but we ended up seeing it in Vegas, and I'm so glad. I think the energy there was better, and it was really, really good. Even though I think I started off wanting concerts to be like a high spend item for me, they're fun in the moment, and maybe I think it's just the getting ready to go to a concert that I find fun more so than being there. They're still fun, but they just leave me feeling just like okay. I don't know. I don't know if I need live events. I have to kind of reconsider which experiences I really value. Again, amazing experiences, but I'm just like, okay. Everything except for my favorite K-pop group. Like, I will go to their concerts because their concerts, they do leave an impact on me after the fact, which I like. So getting ahead. This is just like my work stuff, commuting expenses, my phone bill. What else? Sinking funds. What have I been spending money on? Health. What is this? Curology here and there. L-theanine here and there. Gym. That's been a big part of it. And I'm sure there's some other things that were big at the beginning of the year. Skincare I spent $100 on. But all of these little amounts, you don't think they will add up to almost $900. But they do. Like, I'm trying to look at what are the other big expenses here. Like, I had a filling copay. How does this add up to $900? Okay. Girl next door, just random shopping things. Financial planner, this is where I track tax prep and my credit card annual fees, which I think I only have one card with a fee. Again, I'm just so out of the loop with my finances. I'm so excited to get back into it. Modern debutante, this is just like my, I don't know what this category is, which is why I put a red flag on it. I think it was usually supposed to be my social category, but now I'm tracking some of my social category in my community category, so I don't know where this stands anymore now that I've added that category in. Hobbies, just bought a new phone case, and yeah, discretionary spending. I don't think this should be here. I've never charged anything to discretionary spending ever, right? I don't know. I'm gonna have to double check that. Okay. Next, what do we want to look at? Oh, yeah. I think that covers all my spending. Cash cow. Just some stuff for businesses, mostly buying domains. Do not buy a domain with GoDaddy. GoDaddy scammed me in like the worst, most painful way, especially when you're trying to build a business and you want all of your handles to be aligned. Like, that's so important to me because I think it creates a messiness. And GoDaddy scammed me, and they, took a domain that I could have bought for 1 cent, and they hiked up the price because they saw I was interested in it. And yeah, just do not use GoDaddy. I genuinely am thinking about suing them because I think this is affecting a lot of people, and this is just bad business. So anyway, and it wasn't like they hiked up the price to $1. They've hiked up the price to tens of thousands of dollars, right? Because they think they can extort you, and it's just a nightmare. Anyway, let's I'm like remembering GoDaddy. I almost forgot about that. Oh my god. Let's get into all the stuff that isn't just my spending and where else my money goes. So I'm gonna add back in community chest. I'm gonna add back in my investments and my taxes. And you're gonna see that the budget looks quite different when I throw these things in. So far this year, I've spent almost $230,000, and it sounds crazy, and it does not feel that way in my head at all, but that is like left my account at some point in time. Highest category is my investments, which I'm happy to see $120,000 and 52% of my spending so far. I'm pretty sure 120 was my goal. I can't remember if it was 120 or 150 for the year. So I'm so excited to look back on my goals thing and see how I'm doing compared to that. To contextualize this number, I can't really know ahead of time how much money I'm going to make in the year because more than 50% of my compensation at this point is my stock payout. Or maybe it's like about 50%. And the stock will fluctuate with the economy. I think when I was doing my original plan, stocks were kind of at a low, that initial part of the year where like the market was dropping, but now we are in a state of hyperinflation and stocks are just rallying like crazy. So that has inflated my compensation this year a little bit, I think. What else did I say? Oh, and the reason this has been so high this year is because my two biggest stock payouts, which have been about $50,000 each, happen in January and July. So I basically made most of the money I'm gonna make for this year already. And I think I mentioned because of that, I was fine, totally fine, just quitting my job in July. And like upon reflection, I'm pretty sure I hit my investment goal for the year already. If I move with my boyfriend, I won't have expenses. And yeah, so I'm like, upon reflection, that was a very good plan. But I know I can also comfortably wait it out until next year, January, and get another $50,000 and then pack it up. And then maybe even wait until next year, July. Like, that is kind of the way my brain is thinking. And it's going to think that way for as long as it takes me to get my startup off the ground. So, yeah, that's what's happening with investments here. And that is why this number is so high so far. I'm expecting as the year goes on and I continue having more expenses and no more large stock payouts. I still have 2 small stock payouts coming up. Actually, one is coming up in August and it's going to be about $7,000 pre-tax. By the way, I always talk about things pre-tax. We're going to see that this is going to end up accounting for less than 50% of my gross spending. The next biggest part of my spending are my taxes. Here I've already paid $81,000 in taxes. And yeah, I love tracking my taxes in YNAB. It's super helpful come tax time. It's helped me find out any like weird little things in my pay stubs as well. I've been like a high earner since I graduated from college, but because of when I graduated from college and the way my payments have worked at my company with like signing bonuses and stock payouts, every year I've made, I think on my tax form, less than $200,000, I'm pretty sure. Or I don't remember the exact number, but I basically make less on the calendar year than I make on my vest year, I guess is the way to say it, because my vest year is based off when I joined the company. And that is like the way I think about my compensation, but that number always ends up being higher than what I will get in any given calendar year. Anyway, that's all to say. Because of that, I was able to avoid a lot of the additional taxes that come with being a high earner for my first 3 years of working, but no longer. Now I'm seeing a lot of new taxes, like my Medicare surtax. I feel like this is the first time I've gotten the Medicare surtax. And what is the other new tax? And there's like another new tax. I can't remember the name of it. I don't know if I made a memo of it. So yeah, there are a few like new taxes I'm seeing. It is what it is. I'm just like, whoa. I would have never really paid attention to this if I wasn't tracking my income in YNAB, because there's also the positive side where as you earn more money, sometimes you pay less taxes, literally, because like some taxes fall off and they're capped to certain amounts of income. So my paychecks were going up because I had actually no longer needed to pay Social Security tax. I'd hit that cap. But even that was offset now by my new Medicare surtax. So yeah, taxes, interesting to me. Anyway, then we've gotten into our spending. I've already considered all of that. The only thing I wouldn't have considered is my community chest, which is spending that I count as personal, like part of my personal budget, but I also like to separate out from part of my personal spending. And so far I've spent $3,000 towards that. This is my family vacation fund. So far I've spent $2,000 towards a family vacation, and we're going in August, so I'm going to be covering more things there. Another family fund, just miscellaneous family giving. I think most of this has been giving my parents birthday presents. Let me hold $1. This is my friends giving, and then pay it forward. This is anything that's related to my volunteering expenses. Yeah, that's all so far this year. I will say, like, this budget breakdown only reflects my spending and it doesn't reflect what's currently sitting in my category. So maybe to get that, I always like going to income versus expense. I'll at least use this to cover my current income. And year to date, my income has been $238,000. And so that would mean I have like an inflow of $7,000 this year, mostly being spread out towards my various sinking funds. So we can check in on those now. So you can see some of my available amounts are going towards my expenses for this month. I have a chunk available here that I've had available here for a while going towards my nose job, which is gonna happen, okay? It's still something I'm working towards for sure. High priority of mine. Just once I get like done with my beta users, that is the deadline I'm giving myself. And you know what's so funny? Because I'm building a business, I'm like, I want to write this off as a business expense if possible because I have to make TikToks. Okay, I have to make TikToks and you have to look decent in TikToks. And I'm like, this is becoming a business expense. I don't know. We'll find out. The IRS hates me. Anyway, I have a lot sitting in my general sinking fund, so I put $1,400 per month towards my sinking funds, and if I have something I know I want to put it towards, I'll bring it up to specific sinking funds or move it around to my general sinking fund categories. I haven't had much I've been very sure about putting it towards, so I have many months of savings up in here, over 4 months of savings actually by this number, over 4 months of savings covered by this available amount. And yeah, I am going to rework my budget, and because I'm going to be having higher transportation expenses and possibly higher food expenses, I'm going to probably be dropping this number. This is the first thing to go in the budget. Next is my community chest. I put $1,000 towards this every month and then divide it up in these categories. I wanted to put $6,000 towards covering different parts of a family vacation. Things I've covered are like people's visas, a hotel room, and a lot of things are going to happen during that family vacation, seeing other family members, and I know it's going to be a lot of giving money to people. So yeah, that's what's going to be covered here. You can see I have like $2,000, so 2 months about of community chest holdings here. A lot of that is going to go to family vacation this month, and then hopefully I can, once I have that wrapped up, know how I can start dividing this money up better. The We Are Family, Let Me Hold a Dollar, I just cover these as they come up until I finish the family vacation and have the final number on it. Other than that, I put $250 every month to my pay it forward category, which is what I use for my volunteering and donations to, things outside of my friends and families. So you can consider Let Me Hold a Dollar like my gifts category. That's pretty much how I've been treating it. Okay. Cash cow, expenses for my business. Even though I set up this amount to have expenses for my business, I try to be as cheap as possible. Because I think taking on an expense for a business is very, very scary to me. I want to make money or at least have like a decent user base before I pour more into the specific idea I'm working on. Mostly what I've been covering are domains, hosting. I'm gonna hire a few people soon, so I haven't been contributing to this on the schedule that I planned, but worst comes to worst, I know where I can take from. And yeah, I think I've showed what's currently sitting in the budget that's important and how that $7,000 is mostly being injected into the budget. I think it really just comes down to this category and this category. Okay, so this video's already been quite long. So I'm just going to quickly flash over to my goals, which, yes, I feel like I was getting the numbers because I was trying to not look, but I think my brain just picked up on the numbers in my peripheral. I was correct, where my personal expenses goal was $60,000. Where I'm wrong though is that in this $60,000 I've actually counted for my giving. So my personal expenses goal is more so $48,000, and I'm slightly over then because that means I would have only spent $24,000 this year and I've spent $25,000, and I'm only going to be more over. You can see my plan this year is I made a plan for my normal life where I spent $3,577.50 per month on my core expenses, and my monthly average in the world where I live by myself the first half of the year and move with my boyfriend the second half of the year. And that would bring my monthly expenses down by about $1,000. So now I'm going to be spending $1,000 more than I planned per month. And so that ends up having me being on track to be $6,000 over. So yeah, it's something I'm going to keep an eye on. And I think that's a huge part of probably why I want to budget again, because my finances are going to be tighter than I expected this second half of the year. In one way, they're not, because I also plan on being unemployed the second half of the year. But still, I really hate having expenses. And I don't know, it's like I might move to the middle of nowhere in Kansas just so that I don't have expenses, because I really hate like the weight of that. Also, if you hear that sound, that is my AC. And my savings and investing goal is $100,020, and I've already hit that, so that is great. And I've hit that mostly in my general investments because my retirement is still being dollar cost averaged over the year, so I'm still going to continue saving and investing more, or just investing more, because I still need to max out my Roth IRA on my schedule and my HSA on the schedule I already set from the beginning of the year. What I kind of take away from this is that even though I haven't been in the weeds with my budget, the fact that I went from the beginning of the year, set numbers, and just stuck to those numbers as best as I could, like going down the line of my categories, putting $1,400 here, putting everything else that I make in my investments. Like, I don't set a number actually for my investments. It just is like everything has to stay within their boundaries and everything else goes to investments. I think that's helped me like hit this goal, because I think a lot of people kind of do the reverse, where they'll like set an investment target, and of course, you know, if you set the investment target and you stick to that through the year, you'll hit your goal. But I don't know, I just try not to create too much room in my life for like extra spending, and yeah, I think that works for me. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm very much a mess right now. What I did want to call out though is that I have been like, this is going to sound dramatic, a shell of myself for a very long time. I've been a shell of myself probably since I was 17. Like around the time I turned 17, something happened that really killed my spirit. I'm not trying to be ambiguous. It wasn't dark. It wasn't even serious, guys. I'm just a sensitive person. So it was like something very small happened, and it like really killed my spirit. It's gonna sound really silly. I had a crush on a guy that I met online. um you know, and it was just like, I am not someone who has a crush often. This is just so silly to talk about because I'm not like 17 anymore. I'm not there anymore. But that is all to say, like, that situation went badly and nothing really happened. Nothing happened that was bad. It just like made me insecure about myself, I guess. Like, that was the first time I started having like insecure thoughts about myself. And then from there, I, you know, had senior year, and senior year of high school is like incredibly easy. You don't really have to do work. You're just applying to college. And I guess, you know, that process was like a little bit stressful for me, but it worked out. Then I went to college, and every single year of college was easy for me because my high school was just so much more intense than college could ever be. I was like chilling, and like I had an hour of class a day, maybe, and like I had homework that I had all week to do, and there were millions of other people doing the same assignment. Like, college was just easy, right? And then work was also easy. It's like, yes, there were a few challenges. I had to get used to corporate, but the thing about working on big tech is I know a lot of people will say, oh my god, it's so nice to just like work 20 hours a day. And like, no one really knows why you only work 20 hours a day. Or 20 hours a week. It's because there are like 30 million people who have to like figure something out before you can do whatever needs to be done. I can say, maybe it averages out to 40 hours because once they figure it out, they want you to do it in like half a second. And it's like, wow, you took your sweet time, but now I have to rush. But it's easy because, again, it's just most of the day is like so empty because I'm just waiting for people to like figure out what they want to do. And all of these things, I'm saying they've been easy and it sounds like blessings, and in many ways it is. And in many ways, because all of these things felt so easy for me, I couldn't really talk to people about it. Um, a lot of people, they struggle in college, and I didn't want to be like, that assignment was easy, that test was easy. That doesn't make you a great person to be around. A lot of my friends, other women in tech, they're having hard times. Like, a lot of people are quitting, a lot of people are laid off, a lot of people are, burnt out or on medical leave. Like, all of these things are like constantly happening to people around me, and I don't want to just be like, my team is quite cozy. The worst parts of my day is that I have no work to do. Like, yeah. And I didn't know where to find a challenge, but I finally have like reconnected myself, and I'm finally building something I really care about. And it's hard, but I love hard. Like, that is something I'm realizing. And it's something I knew at points in time when I was a teenager. Even when I chose my college, I did choose the hardest one out of the ones I'd gone into because I was just like, I want to be challenged. And sometimes I was. I think I was just as challenged as I could have been in college. But yeah. I'm going on rambles, but I feel like myself again, and weirdly enough, it like has made me want things. I never really spent money on things because I didn't want anything. But now, like, I want things, and it's not necessarily like consumer things. I mean, the thing I want the most is like cloud computing credits, right? Like, that is where I wish I had infinite money to spend on, but still, I want things from my life again. Like, I want new clothes because I want to go into meetings and like be excited about the way I look. I want to like actually go to the hairdresser anymore, even though I'm pretty sure my hairdresser is like, she quit because there's never an available time, and I don't think she's just that booked out. I want these things again. I want to get my nails done like professionally. Like, I've been craving that. And I would have gone if my boyfriend still lived here, because I want to pay for my nails. I'm fine with that, but I don't want to pay for the Uber to and fro. That is where I draw the line. But I want things again. I really want to learn how to drive. Like, I've been enjoying going to the mall. And I'm just like, oh my god, it would be so fun if I could just take myself to the mall without my boyfriend. Because we don't mall the same way. And it's not even like he doesn't like going to stores and looking at clothes. Like, he does. But we don't mall the same way. He likes to look at random things, and I really like to spend a lot of time in like one store and then go back the next day. I don't know. But I want things again. So that's exciting, and I hope like being in my budget can like make it easy for myself, for me to convince myself that I can get those things, because sometimes I'm still like hesitant on buying some things. Yeah. This video is very long, and I want to wrap it up with some exciting reflections. The last being my net worth. I wanted to share a net worth update because I did get that stock payout, so I wanted to share a net worth update. I ideally would have done this in June, but I always hate doing the net worth updates in June because then I get my stock payout in July, and I feel like it's not a good reflection. June has gone and has become so irrelevant because of what happens in July. So I'm so glad that I am done with July and I can show you guys the latest on my net worth. My net worth is currently $466,000, and I only consider my investments as part of my net worth. I have a lot of cash right now. A lot of that is meant for a nose job that I need to get tonight. So I don't really like looking at my cash holdings too much. I'm really focused on growing my investment number, so that is what I consider part of my net worth. My cash just fluctuates randomly. And so yeah, $446,000. I've invested $120,000 year to date, and my investments have gone up $146,000 or 147. So that means I've gotten $37,000 out of the market so far. This is so crazy to me because I remember being scared to like buy the investment. Like I would move money into Fidelity, but I wouldn't press the buy button on the investment. There's not a buy button, but you know what I mean? I wouldn't make the trade. And now it's like I do it like clockwork. I get annoyed when I have a meeting that runs late, so I like miss the window on Fidelity for like PST time, because yeah, I have like a lot of 12 o'clock meetings and morning meetings, and that is when the market is like open for me since I wake up, you know, because I'm not on the East Coast. So now I get annoyed when I like can't make my trade on time. I don't automate anything. I like going into the account myself every time and like doing my thing. Yeah, so it's crazy. I'm really hoping. I don't like setting net worth goals, but now that it feels so close, I really want to hit 500,000 by the end of the year, which can be possible. You know, we'll have to see. Obviously, a lot of things are just like on the market, but largely still my investment growth is being driven by the money I'm putting in. So yeah, this is just like exciting for me, and I've been watching my net worth a lot more than I've been watching my budget. And so this was not a surprise to me, but I don't know, I'm just really excited about it and I wanted to share. And yeah, I don't have any crazy takeaways. I just wanted to talk, get back into the budget. I have a new laptop now. I should be better. Thank you so much for sticking with me, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.